Have I ever told you a joke that I heard from a band called Marcy Playground? It's on before one of their songs that plays. And so there's two cats swimming across the river. 1, 2, 3 cat and Au deux, trois cat. Okay. Which one makes it to the other side of the river?
I don't know. Which one?
1, 2, 3 cat. You know why?
Why?
Because Au deux, trois cat sank.
Um,
Hey everyone, and welcome to Why Are You Still Here? Anyway, this is part 2, dose.
Une des trois. Une des trois. You know who I'm referring to.
Yes. Anyway, so yes, thank you for joining us today in our part 2 of our top 10 licensed games list. And I even, I went the extra mile, Lucas.
Yeah.
And I added
part 2 behind your shoulder, but
part 2.
Very good. It took you a lot of effort, but thank you.
Now I have to get back. Anyway. Yeah, so part 2 of our top 10 list. So hopefully we can keep it a little bit more concise.
On track and concise.
On track. Not so much about what we say about each game, but just making sure that we're on the correct number.
Because we have a really bad problem
big
with
issue
counting.
with that. Yes, but we only have to deal with 5 of them. So
yeah,
hopefully it'll be easier. So yeah, so I say, oh wait. If you are unfamiliar or, maybe you didn't watch our first video, you're just watching this one, I would suggest you to go back and watch that first video. It's going to be weird, but maybe you're like, hey, I only care about the top 5. And I say, welcome. Okay. And I will say this as well. If you don't know, a licensed game is a game that is based around a character, an IP, which means, like a movie, TV show, band, possibly, yes. That they are basically renting out from another company, right? So Rocksteady makes those Batman Arkham games, and they are renting that IP from WB. That all rhymed. So when you see 50 Cent Blood in the Sand or whatever that game is that you said, I have no idea who they're paying that money to get 50
there's
Cent in their game.
The G Unit record company and Shady Records are the two holders on the back of the box. Same with Bulletproof as well.
Right. Okay. So that's whatever the developer is renting that from. Are those two?
I guess so. Apparently the developers for Bulletproof, I watched a video about it. Like the game isn't that great, but I think they made it in like 8 months. But like apparently the developers really tried to make like a decent game, and the voice acting for that game is hilariously good. I found out Eminem doesn't play himself. He's Detective McVicker or some shit.
Well, look who it is. For a while there, I thought I lost my best customer.
It'll take more than 9 bullets to bring me down.
Yeah, thanks. I'll remember that.
He is a character.
At least he's in
the game. But it has his likeness and his voice, so.
Yeah.
And his voice acting, like Eminem's acting in general, always pretty good.
Yes. And yeah, licensed games also run the gamut from
oh yeah,
being bottom of the barrel, dumpster fire trash, which is what gives a lot of them a bad name, to perfection, you know. So it
like
literally,
the Batman Arkham games.
you don't even know, correct, you don't even know what you're going to get. So down here you have a Blast game, Home Alone, made by Blast. And then up here you have, you know, any of the Arkham games, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, you know. So yeah, and if you hear us mention IP at all in the future of this video, it's intellectual property. It's just, you know, it's that very property. Like Batman is an IP. It's an intellectual property that somebody owns and they lend out for a specific amount of money, probably a substantial amount of money, but yeah, or James Bond, or, you know, whatever. So yeah, so after that, we can just jump into it. If you already knew what a licensed game was, then I apologize. But not everybody does. You might be surprised. So yeah, do you want to start it off with your number 5?
So I don't have the actual version. I have a different version of it here. Ironically enough, this is a horrible version of the game. It's actually one of my most hated platformers I've ever played because it plays exactly like Dragon's Lair on NES. And it's Toy Story 2, because this game on N64 and PS1, I haven't played it since I was a kid. It's one of the few games in the list that I haven't played since I was, but I remember being floored by a first-person Buzz Lightyear perspective on PS1. I remember going over to like a family party, and there were some kids playing it, and it was like 1999, right? And I'm thinking, how the fuck do I not know this exists, right? And then I asked my mom for a PlayStation. She's like, "No, you have a Game Boy, and you have an N64." No, well, actually, she said, "You have a Nintendo. You have one in the house and one in your pocket. You know, you're not getting another one." And then eventually,
and in case you didn't know, everybody, Lucas's mom is a elderly Black woman from 1950s Georgia, apparently.
Yes,
so
very similar. Anyway, I eventually got a PS2 because it could play both of them, and I love Toy Story 2, but I just have this one for visual reference.
Very nice.
But I will say this: I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You can go.
All right, I'll leave. A lot of people say Toy Story 3 is their favorite game. I recently played through it in its entirety. It's fine, you know. But they recreate the Toy Story 2 video game sequence intro, like I sent you the video of. And it's not 1-to-1, but it has all the enemies and all the standout moments, and it was so cool. It was finally awesome to be able to play that in person. So Toy Story 3, not the best, but cool. So
awesome. Whatever. I know Toy Story 3 is notable for its sandbox like gameplay, right? It's kind of free roam a little bit. Yeah, I briefly remember renting a Toy Story game for N64, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and it was just terrible. It was just awful.
There's a side-scrolling platformer that came out on Super Nintendo and Genesis and PC. Yeah. I had that one on PC as a kid.
Okay, this one was 3D.
The only ones on N64 that were 3D was Toy Story 2 and Toy Story like Kart Racer, or that might have been on PS1. I'll put up an image or a video.
It must have been a Toy Story 2 then. So I don't know if there's different versions of it, but the N64 one.
Yeah, I'll play it and hate it, just like I hate the Game Boy. And this one, the one I showed you, is one of the wherever the hell I put it, is one of the Game Boy games that works on the Game Boy Color and the original Game Boy when it was that in-between phase. So interesting tidbit. What's your number 5, Brandon?
So my number 5, Lucas, is X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Okay.
So this game is a game
that one's on PS3, right?
It is. It is. And
it's on PS2 as well.
Glorious. It's not just PS3. And maybe Xbox.
I've
possibly,
heard good things about this game.
Oh my god, it's so good. So it is literally, the game was crafted with an earlier script for the movie, obviously a much better script for the movie, because even though I have nostalgia for X-Men Origins Wolverine, the movie, I can definitely see the hate, especially when it comes to the character of Deadpool and all that. So yes, but yeah, so it's a different story. Obviously there's a lot of similarities between the two, but it's a game that feels so much less of like a license game to a movie and more just a licensed game of a comic book character, honestly. And it's so gory that it's mature. So this is for a movie that was rated PG-13, but it's a mature game that only 17-year-olds are supposed to be playing, because you are able to do like ultimate destruction with Wolverine's claws, and it shows everything, cutting off people's heads, cutting off limbs, all that kind of stuff. So that's just one part of it. It's so much more than that, though. The story's great. The voice acting, it has Hugh Jackman providing the voice of Wolverine, and it's so much
Hugh
fun.
Jackman lent his voice to all of his games likenesses in the mid 2000s, it seems.
Yeah, I don't know if he did for the X-Men 2 game that was for PS2 and that kind of thing. It was called like Wolverine's Revenge or something like that. I would have to look into that. I don't know if he did for that, but he certainly did for this. Yeah, it was super. It's just so good. Like, you will never see like a bad word about that game. And I actually first discovered it in like 2013. I had my PS3 Slim dealio kind of thing, and I was just looking for games that were not necessarily easy, but easier platinums to get. And this game was on the list, and when it was on the list, like, it was in the top 10, and people were like, not only is this an easier platinum to get for you to, as long as you play the whole game. I think I had to play it twice in order to do it, but it's a really fun game. And I'm like, sure. And I got hooked. I mean, it's so much fun.
Very good.
So yeah. So anybody out there should definitely go check out that game. It has like The Godfather has a specially named version for the PS3 version. It's like Uncaged Edition or something like that. That has even more gore in it. So it's a good one.
Very good.
So like, this is truly,
I'll buy it
so
crazy
to say. Sounds good. It sounds so crazy to say, but it's like, if like, there's a Wolverine game that is currently in production, and this is definitely like what that game will be held to. As crazy as that is to say, because this is the best Wolverine game that's ever been created. So as long as they can at least get just a little bit of the feeling from this one, then it'll be a success, I promise you. So yes,
very nice.
Number 4.
I love Lego Star Wars, specifically this version. I remember playing it first on the GameCube when they had the prequel game that came out. That was the first one, right? Me and my friend played the fuck out of that game on the GameCube back in middle school, elementary school. And then this one came out on Xbox. Obviously, it came out on all systems, but it has all 6 games. But this one, like I said in the other video, has one of the last Lego games to offer online co-op, and I love co-op Lego games. You didn't say that, but I did in the last video. You said, who wants to play a Lego game co-op? They're like the least co-op game. Not true. I love this game. There's so much charm in it. And as much as I love Harry Potter as a property more than Star Wars, that's not a hidden fact about me, I like this game a lot more. It just seems like it was the de facto Lego game. I don't know. It's just what I think.
This was back
very,
in the
very
day
charming
too, where they did not have any voice acting. They just did
there
this,
was
like,
just
eh?
and it was so cute. And I love my PSP version, but here I'll showcase this one because it has all of them in it. But I love this game. So much fun. My favorite Lego game.
Anyway, very good, very good. So my number 4 is one of my favorite games in all of existence, not even just licensed games. And it's keeping that, you know, to some extent, that Star Wars kind of, you know, we have threaded throughout this, and that is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Nice.
And it is, you know, it's been called the Dark Souls of Star Wars games. And it is, you've done the whole chef's kiss of thing like 27 times already. That's what I do for this game. Because it is just, I mean, all these last 5 games that I'm mentioning here, they're just perfect. I really have no issues with any of them, and it was just perfect. It's just, you know, stars the character of Cal Kestis, played by Cameron Monaghan, and it's just so much fun. You know, it is hands down the most fun Star Wars game that I've ever played. Like, it felt like watching a brand new original Star Wars movie that were based on like new characters and stuff, and it was just so cool. And the fact that the game is inadvertently tied to the movies as well, because the last planet you go to is not actually a planet at all. It's been constructed, and it is actually, I take that back, I guess it is a planet. So strike that, reverse it. So you go to this planet, it's like a snow planet, and it's what eventually becomes Starkiller Base. That's in cool. The Force Awakens. So yeah, it's but you don't know that. You know, at first you don't know that. You have to kind of put 2 and 2 together, because they don't tell you. And you start looking at the way that the planet looks, and they start talking about how the entire core of the planet are kyber crystals. And that's the point of the game as well, where you pick up kyber crystals and you can switch the color of your lightsaber and
that's badass
stuff as well. And you can, you know, sort of customize the clothes that Cal is wearing. And it's just, I don't know, it's very lightsaber centric as well as Force centric. And it takes place right smack dab in my like favorite part of Star Wars. I've talked about, I don't know if I've ever talked on this show about the Star Wars Rebels, which is like, you know, the TV show. It takes place like right in that sweet spot of Star Wars, like the original trilogy. This is, if my memory serves correctly, it's after the original trilogy, but before the sequel trilogy. So it's still in that general area, like The Mandalorian. And it's like, that's the sweet spot for me right there, baby. So
you slightly mentioned it in the last episode when I talked about Battlefront. You said you hated anything prequel related at that time.
Oh
in
yeah,
your life, and I'm sure you
except
still
for
do.
Episode 3.
Yeah,
I think it's okay, but yeah. So they cannot make a sequel quickly enough to that game. I'm super excited for it. So I don't even know if it's been officially announced.
Not fucking up.
It's shocking. It really is shocking. And the fact that there's not microtransactions or anything in the game, like Jesus, you know, because they messed up with Battlefront and Battlefront 2. So
I know, I have them.
Yeah, well, Battlefront 2 was a little less of a mess up, because at least it did have a single player campaign, but still nothing compared to the glory that is Fallen Order. So I love, like, it. I was already like, I thought the biggest Star Wars fan I could ever be, and then this game came out and I somehow surpassed that to the next level. I transcended, if you will. So
cool. I truly hope that happens to me in November, which, fingers fucking crossed that with Delay City that we're in, okay?
Yeah.
That Hogwarts Legacy does not get delayed a 5th time.
I'm sure it it probably will, unfortunately, and I'll tell you why. Because it has still to this day, like we're only like 6 months away or whatever, without doing the math, mind you. You're 7 months away, something like that, from release, and it still only has the temporary release date of the last day of December. Like that's, you probably know, that's the date that they give to things that don't have an official release date.
I saw the trailer
December
for this game
30th.
Like I said, 4 years ago in 2018 when it was leaked online, and Warner Brothers pulled it within 2 hours, and I saved a copy. Okay, I'm just too ready for this shit. Anyway, Brandon,
I can't wait to go track down Nearly Headless Nick. That sounds like somebody who was a massive smoker of Marlboro Reds that was then beaten to a pulp.
Well, hey, it's more book accurate. His head is missing mostly, so his trachea is completely.
But he's also a ghost. Your trachea doesn't matter anymore.
Well, he's preserved how he died. Damn it, Brandon, I don't have time to argue with you. Number 3, right?
Yes, number 3. What's your number 3?
This is a game Brandon tried to play like 6 months ago. Gave him a headache. He couldn't play it.
Oh, I know where this is going. Yes, oh yeah,
where I still haven't Googoned it. Another
Make
game.
Sure when you Googon it that you slip out the cover art first.
Oh, I'm not stupid. How many games did you ruin by doing that?
None.
Yeah, trust me, I know to take them out. Anyway, this was another game that I bought for like $8 back in the day that has just climbed in value again.
Yeah.
I said it before on the show, so I'll just keep it brief. It's Nightmare Before Christmas running on the Devil May Cry engine. Sounds fun, right? It is. It's pretty good. If you would have asked me like 15 years ago my thoughts on this game, they would have been a little higher than they are now. Although it's still relatively high in the list, because I love the fact that it is an unofficial sequel to the movie.
Yeah.
And I hadn't played it in a while. So last week after we filmed the episode, I went and played this on the PS3. And it's still fun, but it's a little repetitive. And this is Halloween is like the battle theme for this game. Like every time this guy, like it's all you hear. And it seems like they just really took the first movie and almost like remade it. Like every character is exactly the fucking same in this.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, which has struck me as really weird, I'm like halfway through it again, and Sally was with Dr. Finkelstein when didn't he make a new woman like at the end of the movie, right? And I don't know, whatever. But I really wanted more Nightmare Before Christmas content as a kid. I've talked about it before. Back in like 05-ish was my peak of Tim Burton Hot Topic shopping. It was like the golden year, man. At Corpse Bride, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. This
came out at like the most perfect year, and the ground there even looks like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes.
Which I think it's really just slime, but from his abilities. But it's the song being played constantly just reminds me of Kingdom Hearts, just constantly just dun, 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 dun,
except they sing in this one. Like
they do
do all the okay in Kingdom Hearts.
They do. No. I'm just agreeing with you about this game. So this is a game that is one of 2 that I actually emulated, during my brief moment of emulating on a MacBook. And it was certainly, I got it to, play smoothly on 1080p. I did kick it up to 4K just to see what would happen. And really it just got, my computer can't handle that kind of deal. So it wasn't running anymore. I changed, the resolution and the frame rate and all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun. I got much further into it, did not get any headaches. I get headaches when things are not clear. So it makes me feel like I'm not wearing my glasses.
PS2 is known for having horrible anti-aliasing anyway, right? So I do wish I had the Xbox version, but I have this. I'm not going to rebuy it. Whatever. I say that I will. Anyway, the game
You probably
takes,
should.
I probably should. As I said, I was purging my PS2 and PS3 collection of like non-exclusives.
Yeah.
But anyway,
But don't sell them to
I know
Disc Replay.
Yeah. So they take like eBay. No, we'll try Mercari for once. So they take the art style from the movie, and if you, I don't see if there's nothing on the box I could show, but like it's all of Tim Burton's art style. Like it'll be a tree, but it'll be a whole bunch of lines this way, a whole bunch of lines that way, all etched into the clay to make the way it looks. And they recreate it on the PS2, and it is just so jaggy and sharp, and it doesn't look very good.
No, it looks good though, emulated or
because it cleans everything up. And well, on the PS3 version, because PS3 has smoothing, if you play PS2 games on it, it cleans it up considerably. It's on HDMI, still looks good, but it's not as good as what it would look like on the emulator. But as for the game is concerned, it was just Chris Sarandon does the voice, but so does Ken Page for Oogie Boogie. So a lot of them come back, some of them don't. But the same woman who does the voice for Shock is Sally, and it's so obvious that it's not
like Catherine O'Hara. Had nothing to do with it.
And it just it's I'll send you a
which
video.
is shocking to me because Catherine O'Hara is like she loves to get involved in anything. So that just tells me that they probably didn't even ask.
It was weird, and the voice is jarring. But anyway,
yes,
it's made by Capcom. So we've talked about that before. I didn't know this, but I guess we can tell by Capcom and by Kingdom Hearts. The Japanese actually really like Nightmare Before Christmas. I found that out recently as well. Big thing for them. Anyway, yeah, fun game.
Awesome.
Don't want to beat a dead horse with the Soul Robber.
That was number 3, right?
Yes.
So my number 3 is a game that Lucas will never be able to play probably. And it is also, I mean, it's just all across the board. Like I said, I all these games are perfection to me. And this is Spider-Man PS4. This was a game that took everything. And what's funny about this game too is that's actually what it's called, Spider-Man PS4. I mean, it was an exclusive to PS4, and then they remastered it for PS5, and it's a inferior version because even though it runs better, they changed the actor that played Peter Parker, and everybody loves that first actor, and everybody does not love that second actor. They took like a guy who looks like he's been Spider-Man for a while. He's been kind of beaten down, but he's still like, he's still doing his best, to a kid. He looks like a fucking kid. That's what they changed about him. It's so weird.
Stupid.
Very stupid. He looks like Tom Holland, honestly. So it's just doesn't make any sense. And it's so annoying, but whatever. And then when he shows up in Miles Morales as well, which is a PS5 exclusive, he's that other actor. And it's like, oh. Anyway, it's awesome though. It's basically Spider-Man 2, like I mentioned from my honorable mentions, and it's just it modernized it and improved upon it tenfold. And
I've heard so not one criticism better really of that game. Everyone loves it.
No. The only criticism is that there's something called Puddlegate. Do you know about Puddlegate?
No.
So when they released the gameplay footage at E3 before the game came out, it was showing the graphics running at their highest capability. It was on the PS4 Pro, and it went as far as to having little puddles on the ground, from a rainstorm. And so it was like awesome reflectivity and all this kind of stuff. Like they were showing the system's like capacity to do amazing graphics. Side note, I keep getting weird sounds in my ear, but anyway, it's like from my computer or microphone or something. But Hopefully you guys can't hear that.
I
Anyway,
can't.
and yeah, so there's puddles, and then all of a sudden the game released, and all of those puddles were gone. So all these little tiny things that made the game so much more immersive and look so much better were scaled back because apparently it was
The
not
PS4
able to run
wasn't gonna be able-
smoothly anymore.
Again, I don't have one, but I've heard that the Pro in particular is the loud when it's at its highest performance and the fans have to kick on at its highest speed to cool it down. I heard it's the loudest console of all time.
Maybe. I mean, I'd be shocked if something was louder than a PS3, but possibly. And yeah, so it's called Puddlegate because people were like, where are my damn puddles? So it was like a half joking, half serious thing. And
well, so many games are notorious for giving you like a watered down experience. I think Watch Dogs is like the biggest example
Jesus
of that.
Christ.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs just flat out promised you things that they couldn't even deliver on. So that's the issue with that.
That's
at least
story.
Spider-Man was just small little differences here.
See, I can handle that. I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd probably just laugh.
Yeah, I didn't personally. I didn't notice it, and then it was pointed out because that footage at E3 is remarkable, and it was shown like a good 5 years before the game actually came out. We were still on PS3 at the time. I think I could be wrong about that, but maybe PS4 just came out. Yeah, because it came out in PS4's last year of life, so it must have been right when PS4 first came out. But yeah, so it's a great game though. Most people have played it, so I probably don't have to say anything else about it, but
very
good job.
So I'll go to my number 2. This is again, I'll show a different version, but the one I'm going to talk about in specifics is the PC version. The first Harry Potter game I ever played, and anyone who played this version, PC version, as a kid, I'll just show this is the box art you would have had at the time. You know, here's the PS1 and Game Boy Color manual, actually.
And the PS1 version is the one that is the highly memed version of the game.
Yeah, let's see, is Hagrid even on the back? No.
With the Hagrid and the scary Ron that looks like a lady that was smashed in the face.
God, you can't even see anything. But yeah,
a little bit
definitely has some PS1 style graphics to it. But anyway, the PC version, anyone who played that one loves it. Even Brad, I was talking to him, I don't even remember how the conversation got brought up, but we're talking about Harry Potter games, and he was like, yeah, I remember playing the Sorcerer's Stone on PC. I love that game. I'm like, I love you even more now, Brad. Anyway, so the PC one is more of a collectathon than a platformer adventure game. There's much more of an emphasis on beans and wizard cards in that one, and the control style is slightly different. A lot more dungeon exploration in there. But it's super awesome. It's really hard to play the game now, though. You can't play it on Mac at all. You have to do it on Windows. You have to do so many patch workarounds because it's for an operating system that's like 25 years old. You try to run it, the computer doesn't know what to do with it. So I managed to play it like a year ago with minimal issues, got it in 1080p, and it was glorious. Very fun.
Awesome.
But again, like this list, not the best games ever, but when I was a kid, it was, dude, there's nothing like being 9 years old running around a virtual Hogwarts. I mean, I'll never be that wide-eyed again. You know what I mean? So I did want to put Sorcerer's Stone. What?
Show the good one again.
The good game?
No, the good version. There we go.
This one?
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go.
So this version, as I've said before, came out in 2003. Came out in the in-between year of Chamber and Azkaban. This one had a super low print run on every console it came out for: PS2, GameCube, and Xbox. Cheapest on PS2, Xbox is second, GameCube is the third because everybody just fucking loves Nintendo now. It is what it is. But this game, we'll talk about it in a minute, is inferior to Chamber of Secrets, even though it's same engine. But
sure.
Superior depending on who you talk to, but Sorcerer's Stone number 2.
Awesome.
Yes.
My number 2
versions.
My number 2 is a little controversial among certain Batman fans, only because they would say I was just wrong. But my number 2 is Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham Asylum.
Is that
and
the first
people
one?
say, it is. And people would say, why not Arkham City? That's the fan favorite. And I would say, yes, Arkham City's great, but I just had more fun with Batman Arkham Asylum. I have tremendous amounts of fun with all of them, mind you. Even Arkham Origins, which was made by Warner Brothers Montreal and not Rocksteady, and the one that gets crapped on a little bit, which is Batman Arkham Knight, still a lot of fun. I don't know, just Arkham Asylum is just so much more of a smaller, quaint experience, like it's much more contained. It's not quite linear, but it's the most linear of them all. And I think that we've talked about it before, that you and I both have a commonality of enjoying linear games.
I have no problem with them whatsoever. You're going A to B and enjoying yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't need an open world sandbox for everything.
For sure. And it still does have that though. Like it's in an asylum though. So the open world is a building. You know what I mean?
And that's fine. I think because of that, you have more time to concentrate on certain things, more of a, like you said, a contained experience.
Yes.
So, like I said, that one I just recently bought for a couple bucks. And because it was one I missed out on, and I'm trying to get these games before they shoot up in price, because now is the time.
I was going to tell you though, I was waiting until we had this moment though on the show that you want, like, at least in my opinion, the best experience of that game. But again, you don't have a PS4, but I think they made it for Xbox too though.
They remastered it.
Xbox One. Yeah, it's called Return to Arkham.
It's on Xbox
Batman Return
One.
to Arkham.
I saw when I was at the store the other day, I saw a whole stack of them, but I didn't know the order they came out. So I wanted to play the first one at least, but now that I know there's a remaster, I'll just go pick it up.
Return to Arkham.
It was $2 or some shit on Xbox.
Return to Arkham is 2 games. So it's Batman Arkham Asylum and Batman Arkham City. So it's the first 2 games.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's what Return to Arkham is. And that's the much better way to play it, as opposed to just going and playing the first game just straight up, So nothing against that experience. If that was the only way to play it at the time, then I would say go for it. But that is one of those that sort of breaks the rule about licensed games, that it can have a remaster, and it's only because it's always the same people that own the Batman license,
we talked about that last episode.
Yeah,
or last part, rather.
For others, it's not like that. It's changing hands constantly. But Warner Brothers, they will never let it go, and I hope they don't. Because at least for games, it's great, and for animated movies. But anyway, and for Zack Snyder. But anyway, so it's a great game. It's, like I said, it's a open world asylum, and then when it comes to Arkham City, obviously it's a open world of a city, so it gets bigger and bigger as the games go on until you get to Arkham Knight, and it's a really big city. Not really big, but big for the Batman games, and it takes you, I don't know, a solid 20 minutes or so to drive across the map, 20 to 30 minutes or something like that. And you have a Batmobile in that game. So
cool.
Yeah, it's big. It's not like Arkham. It's not like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas big or anything, but it's still big. But yeah, so I don't know. And it's the only game, Arkham Asylum is the only one where I was actually successfully able to get all the damn Riddler trophies that are always stashed all over the place. So
very nice.
So yeah, it's great. It's it'll probably be your favorite as well, because it has a hint of Harry Potter in it. And what I mean by that is the fact that the earlier games just being at Hogwarts and only Hogwarts. You know what I mean? So I think you will enjoy it for that. So yeah, they're all good though. They're all good.
Very nice.
So now we're brought to our number one. What will it be? What is the greatest licensed game of all time? I don't know, but you're about to find out.
I'll tell you here. So again, I played this game right when it came out. Got it on release. I actually got it on my next gen system at the time. Brand new, man. It was only like a year and a half old. Which I own every version
Oh
of.
no.
This game. So I remember I'm coming off PS1, Game Boy, and PC Harry Potter. Going to this one with a full Hogwarts at your disposal right away.
Yeah. In a full
Hogwarts
480p.
grounds, 40i. And the whole Hogwarts grounds. Nope, not progressive scan. Sorry, guys. I will say this. The box.
There are certain games that are earlier. We talked about it before briefly that some of the later games stopped saying progressive scan because it wasn't possible to do anymore on the system because component cables, right? Is that the right cable?
Yeah.
They weren't sold anymore. Earlier games too. I came across a game that I was playing the other night that is an earlier game. It does have progressive scan, which it is my number one. But it doesn't brag about it on the back, and it's one of the first games that has it. So that could be the same thing for this as well. I gotta be honest with you.
So I played it on the PC as well. Kind of a spoiled kid at that time in my life, and this version it just stood out to me. The reason being, it was the first Harry Potter game that, even though it was based on the second movie, was more in line with an experience of the first movie, because you start off talking about Privet Drive. Dobby's not in it really at all, only in the PC version, which is weird. Anyway, you actually get to go to Diagon Alley. You get to go walk around. I mean, you do that in this game, but it came out afterwards. So again, I couldn't have played it. Just wouldn't. I can't bend time. But anyway, so my point is, it was a true next gen Hogwarts thing. Totally cool. Although it's not, the best of the series, the people who grew up with it seems to be the consensus on YouTube anyway, because there's so many Harry Potter video game videos now that Hogwarts Legacy is coming out. This one is the fan favorite. A lot of people like Order of the Phoenix, but this one, because of its Zelda style, I love the fact that it is its own art style too. That is exclusive, to the games. That doesn't exist in any other universe. I just love it. It's so charming, so much fun, and it's the one I played the most because I own it on everything. So this version is the worst though. It's so much better on GameCube and Xbox, except the only difference is that makes this one slightly better, which is a point of contention. When you go to the Hogwarts grounds, it's like a fast travel. There's like 3 hallways and you walk through it, and then you go to the greenhouse, or you go to this corridor and you go to the Quidditch pitch. Yeah. In this one, you actually walk everywhere on the grounds, and then you can unlock a Nimbus 2000 and you can ride around the Hogwarts grounds and go on top of the castle and find like hidden items. So it's worth it to own every version. This is the best one. It sold the most of any Harry Potter game, and it's the cheapest of all of them. So very easy barrier to entry. So you need to get it. I'll either let you borrow it or you buy it or whatever.
No, I have it.
Oh, you got it already? Okay,
yeah.
Good. Beautiful.
It's the sticking point was that first game. That was the one that I was unsuccessful in getting.
Very good.
But this one, like I mentioned to you, because you were like, oh, you can borrow it, and then that just never happened, so I just bought it. And then you were like, well, why didn't you remind me about it? I would have let you borrow it. And I was like, honestly, I just wanted to have it anyway. We had that conversation like 2 weeks ago when it arrived.
It's all flooding back to me now. Yeah. But anyway, that one is just
all flooding back to me.
There's just something about it.
And it's all flooding back to me now.
Tell me your favorite #1 James Bond game.
Let me tell you. So if you were to ask me a couple months ago, I would have had a different answer for this, because
well, I'm glad that you rebought them all on GameCube and started playing them.
Yes. So
Brandon,
it's all very fresh for me.
So behind the scenes, 10 seconds of info. Whenever we do these videos, literally a week later, I send Brandon a picture of all the games we talked about. I just found them at the store in the bargain bin.
That's good.
Yes. So recently, Brandon and I have been buying them. He's got them on GameCube. I bought them on Xbox. We don't want them on PS2. Sorry.
Sadly not. Sorry, PS2. You were good for me.
Yes.
When I was a youngling.
A young lad.
Yeah, so it is truly, it is the general consensus that this is the best James Bond game ever. And for the longest time, I had to be like a contrarian, and I was like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Agent Under Fire is the superior experience, as I had like a little teacup in my pinky in the air. And then a few years went by, and I was like, no, you don't understand. Everything or Nothing is the superior experience. I was just that guy. And I even went as far as to say, I don't know what was wrong with me as a child. I said that this game actually sucked at one point. Yeah, because it was hard.
Is it one of the ones I bought?
It is. You'll find out in 5 seconds. But it's super. It is a hard game. I will be honest. I went back to it, as an adult, and same thing with Agent Under Fire. Is that I went back to it and I was like, I'm sure it's not going to be nearly as hard as I thought this was when I was a kid. Oh no, it's still just as hard. And so it remains the same for Nightfire.
Nice.
Nightfire. Here's a little thing for you. I was trying to think of like how the actual theme song goes. And for some reason I can always just remember Nightfire. And at the very end of that opening, you literally see Pierce Brosnan come up to the screen like this. And next time anybody plays that game, look at that Pierce Brosnan, because he always moves slightly.
Nightfire.
He's sitting there on the main menu screen, and it's not a picture. It's literally like he like looks around a little bit and he'll like blink and he moves like this.
Nice.
It's really weird. I don't think the PS2 version had those capabilities, because I remember that being just a static image.
Blood Prince has a menu like that where Harry's looking around, and like when you select an option, his eyes will like look down at the option.
It's terrifying. But it is the hands down the most solid like James Bond gaming experience ever. Hands down. It is Agent Under Fire just starts and throws you into it. It didn't try to do the whole like gun barrel sequence or any of that. And nothing against it for that. Like, I still love Agent Under Fire. It has incredible graphics, especially for the time. Like, graphics still look good today on a game that came out in 2001. Barrel sequence, and then it moves into like the actual like opening, and you have like a pre-title sequence, and then it goes into the main theme, and it has an actual title sequence with naked ladies and an original song, and then it goes into the actual game. The game actually starts, and it treats that like pre-title sequence as a demo for you as well. So it is just like so perfect, and the gadgets are perfect, and everything about it is just flawless. It really is. It took me forever to finally see the truth. And out of all the James Bond games that that came out, especially during that era. It is hands down the best. And when it comes into later games, this one is still the best, but there's also some good ones later on. But yeah, so anyway, I'm sure that there's nothing more for me to say about Nightfire that has not already been said.
Yeah, I understand.
27 billion times
YouTube
at this
videos
point.
about it.
Which is you know, why I probably should have remained a contrarian and just stayed. I should be like, Quantum of Solace is the superior experience, which actually, side note, Quantum of Solace, in my opinion, is a phenomenal game, and I've never gotten the hate for that game. So that's all I have to say.
Good.
So
Can't wait to play it.
So Nightfire.
Right, Duncan?
Nightfire. Nightfire. What is Duncan's favorite James Bond game? 007 Legends. Oh, no.
Yeah,
he just
so-
said, just kidding. It's GoldenEye Rogue Agent.
I was actually gonna make that joke. I didn't play that one, but everybody hates that one.
It's
so,
trash.
Yeah, so
It's literally the worst thing that's ever happened to video games, probably ever, especially licensed video games.
So the last, I do have to get out of here now. I pushed my time today, but the last thing I'll say is it was a little weird to see like the Goldfinger, like, you know, the gold trophy body, whatever, to see Jaws on the cover of 07 Legends with Daniel Craig standing next to it.
Yeah.
So I'm still excited to try. It seems like a fever dream. So
that's basically what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can tell, you can look at that cover and see how much effort went into that game as a whole, because it's just photos from the movies, and the Daniel Craig on there, it's just a photo from a movie as well.
It
just
literally makes
out.
a disclaimer on the back of the box of the two images.
Yeah.
Of where they're from.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
This is from Skyfall. This is
Yeah.
from
I'll show you the box as our little sign off. Or do I have it over here? I might have it in my stack right here.
Yeah, it's bad. They shoved out that game. While Lucas looks for that game, I will tell everybody out there that Daniel Craig's like undeniable best game is a game called Bloodstone. And we were going to get a sequel to Bloodstone. It was going to be what am I looking at?
Images on the front of the box are from the James Bond movie franchise.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, definitely not from this game.
Yeah, so they didn't have Bloodstone on PS3 or 360 when I was looking for it this week. I've been on the lookout for that one.
Bloodstone is the most highly sought after one. Definitely the most expensive.
And it has 2 points higher of a rating for the PS3 version at Metacritic. So that's why I ended up going to the PS3 versions. Even though I said I was doing only exclusives on PS3 and PS2 from now on. I'm such a hypocrite. I love PS3, man. I really do.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, it basically they were going to do a sequel to Bloodstone, and that studio lost their license.
Well, aren't they kind of doing like a pseudo sequel now?
Me.
They're making a new James Bond game. Well, isn't it? It's its own
that's
thing.
A Bloodstone, though. Yeah,
but Bloodstone was its. I mean, my point is like it was its own thing.
It was its own thing, starring Daniel Craig.
Okay.
Yeah, but we were going to get a sequel to that with Daniel Craig.
Oh, I see.
And it was going to be the short story. I can't think of what it's called right now, but it starts with an R.
Were there were there any James Bond games in the 8th gen?
Nope.
Wow. Okay. I didn't think so. I couldn't remember any.
Yeah.
So Bloodstone was the last one that came out?
No, Legends was.
Okay. Wow, well, that was their swan song? Before
unfortunately, it's the game that killed the franchise.
It killed the franchise. That's what it's credited as.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, so they were going to make this game. It was going to be called Risiko, which is
a short story by Ian Fleming, but it was still going to be tied to the events of Bloodstone. There was leaked images of it, of how it's going to look. It was going to look pretty much just like Bloodstone, third person, all that kind of stuff. The studio ended up closing down, unfortunately, so they had to scrap the game, and then they ended up throwing Legends together for the 40th anniversary of James Bond in 2012. They threw it together in like 8 months, from beginning to release in 8 months.
8 months is the kiss of death for a development cycle for
yes, and it's just a flawed game that doesn't really make any sense. They just throw, like, remember Daniel Craig gets shot in Skyfall and he falls off the train into the water. So that happens at the beginning of the game, and while he's in the water, he either hallucinates these other James Bond adventures, or he's remembering going through them, because
so
he's really
it
the
goes
same
from
guy.
Skyfall in reverse.
Yeah, like he's thinking back on them as he's dying in the water.
I like the concept.
Yeah.
Flawed in execution, I guess, if that's the case.
So it goes like to like Goldfinger and all these things, and it is a cool concept. But it was just terrible. For, you know, like they just rushed it out just to make that 40th anniversary release to coincide with Skyfall. Right. So yeah, 2012 was the last time we got a James Bond game, and it just killed it. Like, it's called, literally, like I mentioned, the James Bond game that killed the James Bond games.
So, like I've always said before, like to you, I might have said it on the podcast at some point. Before I go to work, when I do go to work, I'm listening to YouTube videos. I don't really listen to music because I start singing and like dancing and I get distracted. So I have to like listen to like talking, calms me down. Anyway, there are 2 videos I'm going to look for specifically on the way to and on the way back.
Yeah.
The best James Bond games and the worst James Bond games. And that's what I'm listening to today, people. Thanks, Brandon.
Very good. The best ones, it'll probably end with Nightfire's number 1. And the worst ones, it'll probably end with 007 Legends.
That's what I'm hoping to hear. And I will let you know.
Yeah. So, it's unfortunate. Right, makes me sad.
Woo. All right, guys. I'm out of here. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
I'm gonna play some.